The Advanced Farming mod is basically an add-on that has a few different utilities that lets you improve your farming capabilities in the game. For an example, it adds a few different accessories like plows, harvesters, and more attachments that you can all attach onto the tractor, which is the main vehicle included in this add-on, which is a really cool new farming utility. You basically create a workstation and a few different blocks like biofuel filtrators and different fuel resources, and then you craft the tractor in the resource workstation using the different parts which you have to each individually craft. Once you've made these up, you then construct the full-size tractor, which you can then ride around on the field or on your farm and plow, plant on your farmland. For an example, I'm just going to go ahead and attach this harvester here and show it you in action. When you drive around, all you do is clip it onto the back of the vehicle, and then the next thing you'll need is to actually fuel the vehicle because it requires some kind of gas which you need to actually get it running. So we use biofuel, we jump in it, and we can use full forward movement controls to go up and down our farmland. In our case, we're now in the savannah, and we can use it to harvest all of our crops. I've actually prepared a small little farm by the sea just to show you this in action, just to show you just how cool this feature is in this add-on. As you can see, I'm just going to drive straight forwards, and just like if you harvest by hand, this will completely cut down all of the individual crop pieces, so then you can get out and collect them. If you're familiar with the Quarry block, which is originally from the Buildcraft Java mod, you'll be aware of the style of this block, which is included in the Quarry Add-on. Basically, it's a tiered block which comes in many different levels, all the way up to level 3. It's a block that extracts different ores from the ground, rich ores like diamond, iron, coal, gold, redstone, emerald, and basically everything which is found down below, like stone, obsidian, and dirt too. Of course, lava and water will not be a problem when using this machine too, so you can completely use it for automation. All you have to do is place down the quarry block and a stone platform, and yellow block structure will automatically be both created around the area of the quarry. The area where the hoppers should be placed and the elements like the coal block to fuel it will be greyed out but highlighted, so it's very straightforward where you need to put them. Once you've placed them down and activated it, the machine will automatically begin the mining process, harvesting all of the stone and ore blocks below horizontally across, and it will harvest them and then place them in the hoppers, which then in turn places it in the storage chests. This is a really cool machine which you can use to excavate, and it will reach all the way down to bedrock. The quarry blocks come in 4 different sizes: the small quarry block, the medium, the large, and the explosive quarry block, which each have different excavation radiuses. This add-on is really cool for anyone who's a fan of Godzilla or the King Kong movie franchises, and basically it lets you witness both of these titans battling each other in the world, along with a few other titans and characters from similar franchises. This is a really cool add-on which includes over 10 plus different mobs in the add-on. For an example, there's Godzilla 2021, then there's Armored Godzilla, Kong from the 2021 movie, Kong with an axe, Mecha Godzilla, which is basically an Apex ultimate destroying robot version, the Muto Prime Jinshin Mushi creature, the Ghidorah Monster Zero, Rodan, Mothra, Kamazots, which is a giant mutated bat, the Mokele Mbembe, and many more other creatures from the lore like the Behemoth. Watching these guys fight is really crazy, and they have great animations. In the Lost Weapons add-on, you have to search for different buried fragments of a collection of new ancient weapons from the gods. It's an add-on that adds north of 23 brand new weapons to the game, including structures and bosses which are each linked to them, which makes finding them a more interesting progress. You have to search for the buried fragments of these ancient weapons and search the structures and defeat bosses. There's 2 awesome new bosses in this add-on and a whole host of different weapons which you can try out. For an example, here is the weapons in action, and the boss over here is a frozen ice boss, which is a huge big monster boss called youre, Ymir, which spawns in snow biomes, deals 35 damage and has 1200 health. Killing him will give a reward which is randomized between 4 to 8 diamonds, 30 ice blocks, and the frost weapon which he actually holds in his hand, which is actually extremely powerful, and I believe this is the one which I'm actually ironically using to try and defeat him, although it didn't really turn out in my favour. The next boss is Cerberus. Cerberus is basically a 3-headed devil dog, which I believe is obviously inspired by the Cerberus creature from, I think it's Greek mythology, who is said to guard the underworld. It's a really cool looking mob, and as you can see, this boss hops up and down along the landscape, and he's a lot weaker than Ymir, which you can see in this showcase right here. I actually defeated him pretty quickly with one of the weapons, and he drops a special fragment. Anyone who's a fan of the Valve franchise Portal will really enjoy this add-on. This has been a mod in Java Edition for a long time, but finally it's been ported or recreated in Bedrock. You can experience and use the portal gun, which you can actually use to teleport and troll animals or your friends, or just use it to teleport yourself around the game. You can use a portal gun which is added into the world, and it's actually pretty straightforward to craft. There's also the gravity gun which comes in the mod too, which you can use to play around with blocks, pick them up, fling them around, and shoot them off to the distance, which is a really fun thing to do, which you can see I'm doing in this demonstration. It actually looks really cool in third person mode too. It's becoming really impressive how all of these Bedrock add-ons are performing in a very similar way to Java mods. It seems like they're really catching up with some of these really cool features, which they all seem to include. And the portal gun itself comes in many different colours. I believe it comes in around 8 different colours, and each coloured portal gun creates a different set of coloured portals which correspond to each of them, and these separate portals link to each other separately to the other portal guns. It's kind of a mouthful and quite confusing to explain that, but basically one portal gun has its own set of portals which are linked, and vice versa, although when you go through some of these portals they all link to each other, which makes you come out at really random points in the game, which is actually honestly just a surprise, and it's really cool to play around with. Now, the normal portal gun is created with an Eye of Ender, 6 obsidian and 2 iron ingots, and there's some pretty funny ones too, like the potato portal gun or the Rick and Morty portal gun. There's also a guide with multiple pages showing how you craft these with all the recipes in it. For a really unique add-on, the Skyworld add-on is one that has an infinitely generating set of sky islands above the overworld. These feature new bosses, ores and weapons, and structures at their peak, which look really awesome, especially the unique trees on the top with the berry bushes with fruit which you can collect too. The Skyworld itself infinitely generates above the overworld, and when you spawn in a world and look up, you can see just what's above you, which is really interesting and unique. It generates a huge number of islands which go on and stretch on forever. These have trees, grass and ores on them. Some of the smaller islands will have burnt soil, which are new blocks that when you step on grant you fire resistance. There's also bushes on islands which you can harvest the special sunberries on, which I mentioned a few moments ago. The regular hostile mobs may also spawn on these islands at night, just like they do in the overworld though, so you do have to be careful. You'll encounter things like tower islands, dungeon islands, and rock masses in the sky, and some of the islands may even have a dragon resting on them, which will awaken if you go too close or interact with it in a specific way. There's also rare structures like dungeons and temples with bosses inside or special angel mobs you can face. The yCreatures mod introduces several brand new animals to the game, some of them cute and some of them not so friendly, but a lot of them are pretty interesting in their own right and super fun to toy around with. Many of them have really nice varieties of animations which are high quality and special behaviour systems to them with really cool unique models and textures. This add-on is a really powerful one, and it comes with a nice little collection of creatures which you'll notice in the foreground. For example, you have hyenas, bison, and multiple other predators and prey. As you can see, their behaviour sets are actually really nice. For an example, the hyena will hunt down its prey, and it has special attack animations. Each of these mobs have special interactivity with each other. You'll obviously encounter the more popular creatures which you see at zoos, like crocodiles, leopards and cheetahs, elephants, lions, tigers, ostriches, giraffes, and so much more. You will need to enable some of the special features like the holiday creator features, the special creation of custom biomes, additional modding capabilities, and upcoming creator features to get this fully working as it should do. There's really cool creatures too, like aardvarks which live in the savannah, and termites which have their own separate nests and feast on different types of food. One thing that I like are the eagles which prowl the savannah skies, which spawn in those specific biomes, and they have really nice high quality animations. There's also different types of these eagles, the African black eagle and the African fish eagle. This is a really complex mod which is based on a huge collection of different creatures which you'll be mostly familiar with. Although I featured yCreatures, I decided to feature yet another creature add-on, which is Wildcraft, an add-on which brings many animals to the Minecraft world, which have amazing high tier super animation and models and textures, which are really nice. For an example, there's grizzly bears which spawn in taiga biomes, which are hostile towards players and enemies of wolves and cougars. If you're in the oceans, you'll see huge big giant humpback whales, which are gentle giant fish which you can find in the ocean. There's so many different creatures here, and I'm just going to spawn a few of them for you in the background so you can get a little introduction of them. You'll find creatures like kudus in the savannah, South American tapirs which are found in jungles, and so many more like nyalas which are found in savannah too. The oryx is found in the savannah, and so many of these creatures are primarily found in this specific biome as it uses a huge influence from African creatures. But you will also find ones that spawn in the outback in Australia like the koala, and also other creatures like gigantic crocodiles and alligators. My personal favourite in this add-on is the king of the jungle itself, which is the lion, which spawns in savannas too. The lion is basically the apex predator, so it will attack most creatures as its prey like the zebras, which are found inside the savannah too. There's also cougars, huge big giant anaconda snakes, and another of my personal favourites, gorillas, which are hostile to players, so beware. Bioplentia is a biome add-on for Bedrock, which allows you to travel to biomes and explore the landscape with new biomes, new mobs, plants, flowers, trees, and brand new building blocks. It adds an array of different biomes where you can find new mobs in, and there's also new ones like the bayou and cherry blossom forests that you can explore, which look really beautiful. One of my personal favourite ones, this reminds me of a Skyrim mod of the past, and it's one that adds a little bit more difficulty to your world in survival. This is by implementing the mechanic of temperatures which depend on the biome which you're located in. For an example, if you're in an ice area of the world, it will give you a cold temperature, and if you stay in that place for a long time, the cold will increase until you move on to the next phase. And also if you're in the desert, you will be at a hot phase and you will move on to the next phase as you become hotter. There's hypothermia and hyperthermia mechanics in this mod, so you really have to be careful. And there's a square displayed on the HUD which indicates the level of temperature you're at, with cold being light blue and hot being light orange. There's also a frost particle and a flame particle to indicate hypo and hypothermia stages.
I be the show, make a room, shaking it down. I be the with a high profile, everybody come on, we be the shakers with a crazy style, showing everybody how to enjoy a crazy wild. One time rocking to the sound, chilling women everywhere. I be the big down, swing at a hospital, super chick.
Baby, come on, you better rock with me. I be the hot shot player from nowhere to making everybody scream.